Welcome guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to my stream, welcome to another part of working on this guy right there. That is our F-51 Mustang, 1/32 scale by Tamiya. So let's get started, shall we? Last time we actually got our two halves of the fuselage put together, and so that's all glued up and buttoned up nicely. It fit together perfectly. Another kudos to Tamiya for making a kit that fits together really well. Very happy with it. One thing I did do off camera was I did paint the inside of our little radiator section here silver, as I realized it's not really supposed to be the chromate color, so I masked off a little bit underneath here to prevent overspray, and then hit it with some silver paint, and yeah, so we got that done. So now it's nice silver inside there. You can see in the camera, yeehaw, silver. I got to take the masking tape off the radiator, which I guess I'll do right now, since if I don't do it now, I just may forget and add parts to it and then realize later on I've got masking tape in there and not really be able to get in there and remove it after it's all got stuff in there. So yeah, let's get rid of our masking tape, which actually, you know, until I just showed the camera, I actually forgot I had it in there. So yeah, be careful of that. Don't be like me, don't forget about stuff like that. So yeah, one more piece if I can get in there. One final piece to come off. Seems to be happy in its home right now. There we go. Alright, so there you go. Now you can see the radiator in there. Well, sorta. It's kind of dark, but yeah, it's in there. Anyway, put the silver outside there. There we go. Yeehaw. Okay, this little piece here was the one that I kind of broke that little tab off. It seems to be okay. It does only open about 1.5 millimeters. So I think that's going to be fine. No big deal. Okay, so with this put together, what's next? Well, we've still got some more things to add to the fuselage. Let's flip back a page. So this is the part where we put it together, put the two halves together, bing. I have to add part number Q6 to the side. For whatever reason, I guess there's maybe a variation. We're all good here, right? But right here we've got a little section that's missing, right? We don't have it missing on this side, just on this one. Q6 needs to go here. I'm not sure why they did that, but I guess there's a variation that that part is different. So anyway, I gotta find the Q tree and go from there. So where's my Q tree? Q. That's V and R, G. There's not a whole lot of sprues left. That's G, D, H are two J's, and that's B. Z, A. Q must be one of these. Special ones that went up top here. Yes, this is Q. So we want Q6, this guy here. Okay, now I think we need these two on the next page, just glancing through. Nope, we don't need those. So this back, and I'll change the camera so you guys can see what I'm doing, and we'll go from there. Bingo. Alright, so I want to clean this up. I actually want to change my glasses here before I move on. Okay. Okay, so this is going to go into this little spot right here, just like so. Okay, I do want to make sure I got my nub cleaned up really nice there on that panel line. Nice and smooth. So that it matches nicely right there. Okay, let's put some extra thin on there. I'll go in from the other side as well. There we go. Okay. So we've got our piece in, just like it's supposed to be. And we'll see what's next. Okay, so that finishes off this page. All right, remember we got the poly cap. We did remember to put that back in there. So we got that. So flip our page over. And we're going to start assembling our radiator shutter. The rear radiator door that's going to go into this spot here, as well as put in our filler panels that go here and here. But we'll work on the radiator door first. We have to put that together, and we're going to get rid of our photo etch pieces again, and it looks like another piece of the little wire shaft they call it. Okay, so grabbing our photo etch, well, first we'll get R24 and R25. We need those two pieces off of the R tree. 24 and 25. See, here's a good example. I thought these were supposed to be chromate, but they're not. They're supposed to be silver. I looked at some reference photos just this morning, actually, because I was kind of unsure. I seemed to remember them being shown as silver on the inside and not chromate. And so I wanted to look at some reference photos. I look at the instructions here, and they do want you to paint it AS12, which is the silver. Actually, I think Tamiya's AS12 is actually their bare metal finish, if I remember correctly, which I don't actually have that. When I went to the hobby store to try and get some, that was like the one color they didn't have any left of. They had everything else, but not the bare metal, not the AS12. Of course, AS, that's in their spray can line. They have similar colors in their acrylics. I kind of like the mica silver is a good one in their LP line. This one here, I think that's a good one. LP72. That's a pretty decent facsimile for that. Okay, so the question is, should I paint this before I assemble it or after? So it's going to go like this, but we've got to put our pieces together before it all goes in, right? So they show it getting our little assembly here, but then we're going to flip it and put it in like that. Okay, but this has to be painted silver. So I am going to mix up some silver in a cup. I want to spray it. I don't want to brush it on. So I'm going to change the camera here so you're not just staring at my hands as I mix paint. I don't like to, when I can, I like to spray this stuff because it just, I mean, yeah, I could put in a little bit of Mr. Hobby leveling thinner and then brush it on. Don't need a lot for this, that's for sure. I could just use some leveling thinner and do that because it's got a retarder in it, so it doesn't dry so fast and allows it to level. But for metallics, if you want to keep the metallic color, the rapid thinner is a little better. Why? Because it doesn't let it settle, right? And since we're spraying it, we don't really care about it settling so much, right? If I was going to brush it on, then yeah, I'd want to use the leveling thinner to help it out. Mix that up nicely. Okay. Now I actually was playing around with my airbrush earlier, so I still have it taken apart. Okay. There we go. I need about half as much as what I got in there. Okay, so I'm going to use my little tape thing trick that I do. I'm going to fold that over like that. Then I'll just put it onto this. Dink and doink like that. Just give her a little spray. And that's called done. Just like that. That's all I need. Lots left over. Like I said, you don't need a lot for just a small little part like that. But like I said, I didn't want to brush it. I didn't want to use my brush on it. It's just unnecessarily brush strokes and stuff like that in there. So now you get to watch me clean my airbrush out. I will edit this for you guys on YouTube so that you don't have to watch me do this for the next 5 or 10 minutes. Okay. Good old Tamiya paint. This stuff is dry. Okay, so that's done. I'll switch the camera back and let's continue on with this. So we have our two pieces. We got to grab our photo etch. We need B22. So we need the B tree. B22, 24.3, this big guy here. here. Now I'm going to try and get in there and get this little nub a little better cleaned up, as I did on that other one. Because of its location, it's a little difficult. I think that's okay. I'll try that. I can easily clean this one up with my file. That's not an issue. This one's easy to fix. This one, however, is not. But as long as it fits through here, I don't care. It's a tight fit. Yeah, it's okay. We're going to be okay. So even with a little bit of a tiny little piece sticking up there, which you probably can't even see on the camera, even with that, it should be okay. Okay. Next, we need our little rod. ST5, which is from our little bag of rods. This one here. Okay, so I believe it's going to be this guy here. Just matching it up. Nice thing that Tamiya does with their manuals is they give you life-size representation of the part, right? So if I was looking at this one and try and compare it, it looks, that might be right, but I don't know. But I see this one is exactly the same. And when we flip back, so we used one before in the last episode, and it was also ST5, same one, right? And so I know that's the exact same one as last time. So I'm going to get this one out of there and try and convince it to go down to the hole I had made to get the other one out without bringing any of the others with it. Okay, let's get you down here. I'm just going to cut this. It's a lot easier. There we go. Okay, so there we have it. Let's put this back in the box. Alright, so they want us to glue the rod, but they don't want us to glue, they don't want the rod being glued, or sorry, they don't want this piece glued, they want this one glued in. So I guess we'll put a dab of glue on here as we pull it through, because this is supposed to go through like this. Let's line it up here like that. Goes through. You see what I did on the other one is I put some glue on the hole and then I put the rod through. So I'm going to do that again. Okay, so let's get my CA glue. Every once in a while you got to make sure CA glue, when you've used it a lot, it tends to plug up the hole. There we go. Okay, get my little thing. Check this. Okay. Get my high-tech applicator. Just getting its own little blob of glue on it. Okay, so just to make my life a little easier, I'm going to grab these tweezers and hold on to that, so just so it's a little easier to manipulate. Put a little dab of glue on there. There we go. And before I do anything, I'm going to get my accelerator ready. Okay. Roughly halfway is what I want. Let's pull this down. There we go. Put a little dab of glue on the edge just to help that stay. I think we got it. All right, there we are. Unfortunately, one little drop off the tip of that soaks everything. I'm not sure if this thing requires being able to move. I would imagine so, which is why they tell you not to glue it. But it's a little difficult to get it in there and get CA glue on there without, but I managed to get it. It does, I got some movement, as you can see, so I guess that's the important thing. Okay, let's put this away, put this to the side. I want to keep moving this just to make sure it doesn't seize up on me. Seems to be good. Okay, so now these two halves go together. Just like so. Okay, now for that we use regular glue. If I can get it back apart. It's a bit of a tight fit. There we go. There we go. Alright, now in similar fashion to the, remember this door we did before? This one here for the oil cooler duct? we had the photo etch to go on the outsides of it, but it's really kind of pointless, right? We're just adding blank pieces of metal for no reason at all, especially upon a door that, in the grand scheme of things, this is it. Would you be able to really see it in there opening up that tiny little bit? It's really mute or moot. So yeah, I think in similar fashion they want us to add these pieces on the outside of this one. This is already silver because I've just painted it, but let's have a look at them. A27, it's possible there's some detail on them. That's these two here, and they have what appears to be a little bit of rivet detail on them, just on the one side. A tiny little bit of rivet detail. Is it really going to add anything? I don't think so. In fact, this is where I'm going to go against what I was talking about earlier. I'm going to grab my brush and do that. Just to make sure it's silver. And there we go. It's definitely silver on the outsides now. And I think that's good enough. I don't need to add photo etch to it. I think that's fine. Okay, this is now assembled. We'll give that paint a minute or two to dry. Going back here, we got to find DD2 and DD3. Got to find our double Ds, those are fun. And then R4. I've already taken the liberty of grabbing the R tree, R4. Okay, R4. I painted R4 on this side. I painted it the chromate. I don't think it's really going to matter. It's going to go in right here. It's going to go in right there. So it looks like it needs to be silver also. It needs to be silver on this side of it. I'm going to cheat. Okay. I admit it, I'm going to cheat. Just brush the silver on. I'm cheating, I know. After I just told you guys that I don't want to have brush strokes, here I am brush painting it. The paint is so thinned out that it's there are no brush strokes. So yeah. So I'm just going to, in fact, the brush put it on there so thick I could actually get paint running on it. That's okay. I want to have it as level as I can and let that dry. Okay, and once again, clean my brush. It's all kind of, you know, once I get this thing assembled and start weathering it, we're going to kind of lose a lot of this super silver polished detail and stuff like that. But you know, it's all part of the process. You make it look nice and shiny and perfect, and then you make it dirty. Let's find our double Ds. Let's grab our double Ds. Double Ds. Okay, 2 and 3, bing and bang. While we're waiting for the paint to dry on the other pieces, I'll clean these up because these are panels and I want to have the panel lines looking as perfect as I can. So let's make sure I smoothen these up real nice. This is my razor file. If you guys don't watch my Gundam builds, and you might have never seen this before. Razor file. It's a glass file. It's a company called Gun Primer, based out of Korea, and I am in love with this file. It cleans up nub marks like nobody's business. I will put a link down in the description box below. You can check it out. If you are really crazy about cleaning up nub marks, you need one of these. You need one of these. Definitely. Okay, so clearly lefts and rights, I think. There we go. That goes like that. Now I could just put a dab of glue in behind it. Hey, see how nice of a fit that is? Doesn't even want to fall off. And I don't even have any glue in there. Either way you want to go. Put a dab of glue. Dab of glue. Still, I like to run some extra thin in there anyway. Just to make sure. Soften up those lines. There we go. That's one side. Flip her over. Dab of glue on there. I tell you, if anybody had any complaints about the way Tamiya makes their parts fit, you know, I think they're crazy. There's just, everything fits so perfectly. When you're building a Tamiya kit, you become really, you're just a model builder. You're not a model maker. Okay, so we have this piece here, and yep, paint's dry. Paint's dry. This guy you do not glue in. Okay, you don't glue this one in. This little thing's got to go in this slot, and then we've got our two little slots for the hinge. And see how this fits. It's definitely tight. Making sure that goes in. There we go. We are in. So that's it there. I'm going to pull this out just a little bit. Slot it in and then push it back. There we go. And that's going to give us our maximum opening distance. Right about there. Okay, so we're ready for this piece, but it looks like it might not be dry because I put that paint on there pretty thick. So we'll just hold off on this a second and we'll go down to the exhausts. Okay, I have already taken these parts off of the sprues and I painted them, right? So I painted this the aluminum, and then this is a silver just to match the framework on here, because this is going to go in, the little tab's going to go like this, and then this is going to go doink just like that in that spot, and that's where that's going to go, right? But we've got exhaust pieces to put on, okay? And we want to get them off of our J tree, J19. Now they want these painted a mix of different colors, and I haven't gone through and seen what colors these are. Good evening. Oh hey Duster, how are you? This looks like pretty large scale. Yeah, this one's a 1/32 scale. I know this is the Tamiya 1/32 scale. So I don't want these looking like they're brand new, because this plane has been run for quite a few times and has seen many flights, and so I want to do a little bit of dirtiness to it. But I want to take a look at what colors Tamiya is actually calling out for the exhaust ports. Doing good, hoping it'll be dry tomorrow. Yeah. So let's see, XF56 and XF7. Let's go back to the front here. XF7 is flat red and 56 is metallic gray. So basically they want it like a burnt metal kind of color. So let's find our J tree first and have a look at them, okay? Find our J tree. I'm pretty sure I saw a J earlier when I was flipping through. There that is. Okay, J tree is the double one. We got two of them, right? So we're looking for J19. That's these guys here. Okay, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Okay, so 6 on each bank. I need to go outside and spray the underside of my 172 Condor. Wow. Okay, so I want to start with metal. So I'm going to go with, I think gunmetal is a good color to go with. I'm pretty sure I've got a light gunmetal here. Light gunmetal, that'll work. Let's make sure my glue caps are tight before I move too much around. I'll start with gunmetal, and then we'll do a little bit of weathering on it. You guys know I don't really do too much with the painting on my channel, but once in a while it's a necessary evil. By the time I'm all done with these, it's not really going to look like gunmetal anymore. Right? So make sure to get the tips, even though the tips are going to be covered in soot. Basically just the preliminary start. There we go. I'm doing my Condor in a captured RAF scheme. I'm doing a Lancaster inspired camo. Oh nice. That sounds like it's going to be pretty cool. Oops, we got a hair. black underside with earth and olive drab upper surface. Ah, yeah, that's good. Okay, so we've got those done. Now, Tamiya would have me basically do it in a deep red, but that's really just what are they trying to get you to do? I'm trying to get you to simulate a little bit of rust. You know, the rusty red that you see on your typical exhaust manifold, right? As the metal heats up and everything like that, and starts to really, essentially, just hot metal turning reddish, dark reddish black. But we don't need to actually just paint it like that. We can add different effects. So one of the things I wanted to do along the side here is kind of just do a little bit. I'm going to use AK's rust streaks. Okay. Now, although it's not really simulating rust so much, we're simulating the metal getting hot. And I'm going to use it sparingly. You see the color, it's just kind of like a brown, a reddish brown, right? I'm going to use it very sparingly because a little goes a long way with this stuff. Okay, so just a little bit along here. Okay, just a little bit. And right now that doesn't look all that great, but we'll get there. Doing a little bit, a couple of little dabs around each port. Okay. Now you can go heavy with this if you want. You could just go light. You could hardly do any if you want. That's up to you. It doesn't really matter. It's your model. You do it how you like, what you think looks good. I'm going to do a little bit more along the upper part here. There we go. Okay, and that's all I'm doing. I'll use this more on the actual exhaust pieces once they're installed. Okay. I'm going to grab my thinner. And I use different thinner for this stuff. I use white spirits. White spirit is really the best thinner for this stuff. Okay. By now, the paint, let's see, it's just a tad huge. Yeah. At some point, I got a 1/72 jump into the, to build. Yeah, yeah. See, good old Tamiya paint, those are already dry. So let's get these off here. I'm actually going to move my instruction manual out of my way just for a few minutes here. .57 centimeter. Wow, that is huge. And that's a 1/72 scale. That's a big bird. Wow. I don't have the room to display something that big. That's crazy. as I'm taking these off, we got World War II cargo plane. Oh, yeah. As I'm taking these off, I'm thinking to myself, how hard is it going to be to mask all of this when I get to actually painting the plane after it's fully assembled? Because, you know, this is going to be sitting here with these exhaust pipes sticking out of it. But then again, this whole thing's going to be masked, covered anyway, so yeah. But with the exhaust actually sticking out, that might be a bit of an issue. So, I'm not sure. So I might actually just wait before installing these things. They just go in. Let's see how hard it is to do by hand. They just go in like that. Doink, and they sit like that. Not really anything special, is it? Right? They just sit like that. But masking it, I don't think it'll be too much of a problem. Okay, so we put it in there, just like that. And from the back, we use a little bit of thin. It was so big it actually had a cargo ramp at the back. I'm planning on get 2 German half tracks. Wow, nice. Okay, so this was just a little dab of thin set on there, and there we go, there's one. That one's a nice tight fit, so I don't have to worry about it falling out. This one wanted to go into the wasteland 2 times now. And I'll have them inside the seedler and modify the kit to have the ramp down. Nice! Okay, so we've got 2 more in. Just hold them there. A little bit of glue. A little bit of thin set. Make sure they're on the same angles. That's good. Alright. 3 more to go. One. Eventual plan is to do a dio with the half tracks being unloaded. Oh, that'd be cool. That's the one thing I have not gotten into yet, is dioramas. The amount of materials and everything, I don't have the space for it. Doing dioramas. Okay, so I want to be careful because of all that thin glue on there. It can easily run around on me. Make sure they're all lined up nice and straight. And there we go. There's our exhausts. Okay, our exhaust put on. Okay. Now I've got a little bit of a blemish on my paint right here, I guess from where I was touching and I had the glue on my finger, but I can use that to my advantage. Doesn't really matter. The other thing you want to do is not put them in backwards, right? And remember that this is at the front, and so you want them pointing towards the back. So it'd be a really funny looking plane to have the exhaust pointing towards the front, just so you can have exhaust in the pilot's face. Okay, those 2 done. I'm going to get bold, and I'm going to do the last 4 all as one. Just because they do all kind of sit very snug. There we go. All lined up. They line up perfect. Nice. There we go. Second one done. Okay. Now, talking about the weathering. Shake this up a bit. Tamiya wanted red brown on there, or dark red. This is the same kind of stuff, but we can work with this a lot better than we can with the Tamiya paints. I'm basically covering them all with it. But you can see there's a little hint of metallic underneath. Because of the gunmetal. And you're going to see exactly what I'm talking about in a minute. Okay, so all this extra stuff that I put around the outside of them, okay, I'm actually going to kind of reactivate it with the thinner. Get my brush a little bit wet with the thinner, and I'm going to dab a little bit, and that allows me to push it around and kind of blend it in. Allows me to make this look not quite so pristine and not so brand new anymore. But by thinning it out like this and spreading it around, it thins it out and blends it, so it looks a little bit more natural. And if you get too much, you just wipe it away. Very nice. And it doesn't, because the white spirits does not attack the Tamiya acrylics. So you can do as much or as little as you want. It's really, really nice. And if I figure, hey, I don't have quite enough, I can just put some more on. Really nice, and I think I got a good effect going on right there, and so that's where I'm going to leave it and let that dry. Clean off my brush here. Put that back over here. Alright, so give that a minute to dry, and we'll go back to our little thing, and I'll do a touch test and see how dry this is. Seems to have dried fully, so we can do that. Okay, so going back to our instructions, this just needs to be glued down in there. So it's just going to go down into that little rectangle. I do want to see just exactly how far it sticks out. Okay. So it doesn't go quite to this edge, so I'm just going to glue these 3 edges here. There we go. Once the glue softened it up a little bit, it pressed into its spot. At first when I put it down, it didn't want to quite go in all the way, but now that it's there, it's there. There we go. And so now this can go up and down just as it feels like, as it pleases. And as I said before, I don't think putting the photo etch on there would have really changed anything. Didn't have an image for a moment, but reloading the page fixed it. Must have been on my end. What was on your end? Was I having some connectivity problems that I didn't even notice? Okay, so there we go. There's our radiator exhaust coming out there. And of course we have our oil cooler one right there. Little tiny guy. Okay. So, that being done, let's go back to our manual and see what's next. Looking back at the manual, we have this battery. Now I've taken the liberty of already pre-painting our little battery bracket, okay, where the battery mounts to, and I have the battery painted. Okay. What's a little bit unfortunate is we have a really nice looking battery here that also came with the kit, but I think this one is for the older P-51 Mustangs, where the battery was mounted behind the pilot, whereas the F-51s, it's mounted up, basically, for lack of a better term, it's mounted under the hood, right? The other thing we need to do is get this here, our coolant tank. Got to get V21 and 22. Of course, those are two different colors. We got to do aluminum on that and silver. So I'm going to paint those on the sprue. So let's grab our V tree. Do my J's. V. Okay, 21 and 22. Alright. So, let's do 21 first. I need aluminum. I'll paint these guys first, and then while I'm waiting for the paint to dry, I will glue the battery on. We want aluminum on this. Okay. Now, let's see how my mica silver's doing over here. It's thickened up a little bit. So, just do a quick dirty clean of my brush. A dirty clean, that makes sense. Good enough. And this guy's got to be silver. And the mica silver is very nice. So, what did I say before about brush strokes? And how much I hate them? Yep. I did say that, didn't I? And yet here I am, brushing it. Turn myself into a hypocrite. true though. I hate brush strokes. That's why things like leveling thinner and stuff like that really help out. Retarders and all that stuff. Because it helps let the paint settle. And then you don't get those brush strokes. But in this case, this is going to be basically covered up. Okay, so just let these two pieces dry for a little bit, and we'll glue our battery down. So that's going to go like this, right down on there. Okay. Just like that. Okay. It is a little unfortunate. It's a very strange looking battery, you know. I can't even tell the positive and negative on it. There's one little nub sticking right there, but I have no idea, should I have cables coming out from there or not, right? Because the real thing, is that where the cables come out? I don't know. It's very unique. Okay. Now looking at this next one, we have R21 is going to mate against V22, and it's supposed to be red. Let's find R21. R. There's R21 right there. I'm going to do this. That's not going to let me do it. Okay. R21 right there. This guy's supposed to be red. I want to keep that, or I want to get rid of it? I think I want to get rid of it. Okay, so this guy needs to be painted red. I don't have, although I do have, I could put some red in my airbrush and spray it. I don't think it's necessary. I have some XF7 right here, just plain red. I never know exactly how much it's going to be visible, so I try and paint every surface, but yeah. Anyway, there we go. Put that out of the way and clean my brush yet again. So we can take our battery, and it needs to go up top here somewhere. Looks like there's a couple of little slots where this is going to mount in up top here somehow. Kind of just like that. Just trying to make sure I do have it in the right spot and I am doing this right. Just as a test, even though it looks like I have it correct, I want to try putting it in the wrong way and see if it would let me. And no, it won't let me. So it does only go one way. It seems to be when you have it in its little happy spot. It only goes so far. Even if I pull the engine down, it won't go down any further. So that's its spot right there. Okay. It really just sits down on this edge here and this edge here, and that's it. So that's where I can put the glue. Put him in his home. Just like that. Welcome to your new home. Now I do kind of want to squeeze these together to help it stay in its spot perfectly. But I don't want to put too much pressure. Unfortunately, I don't have anything that will grip it, but not very much. All my grippers that are that big really hold strong, so I'm just going to hold it with my fingers and take a look at next. So we have our other pieces that I put somewhere. Where did I put my V-tree? Okay, while I'm holding this, I can take these off. Paint's dry, thank you. Thank you. Okay, how are you holding? Not very well. That's okay. I'll put that there, like that. Okay, let's clean these up. I did see it in one particular reference photo. I saw this piece here actually wasn't aluminum at all. It looked like it was, it's hard to say what it actually looked like, but it definitely didn't look like it was made out of aluminum. Maybe it was painted. So these two little pins here are supposed to go in these two little holes. I'm just going to see if it connects anywhere else before I glue it. It does not appear so. It just sits like that. Okay. although that part might touch also. There, and up here somewhere it touches. Getting it lined up on those two tiny little pegs is why it's so hard. I don't know. There we go. Okay. Now our R21, that should be dry. No, not quite. Not quite dry. We're gonna have to wait a minute or two, or maybe 5. But since it goes on the front, so I can put this on first anyway, without it. So let's grab our fuselage here. We're going to tie all these together. See, these two pieces, they're not actually touching anything, right? So that's what's making this part not really stick very well. I want to hold these just like that. So it's not touching. It's glued on this side good, but it's not really touching on this side. I want to squeeze that in just that much and have it hold. Maybe my extra thin quick tight will help that. Get that down in there, and then bingo. Just hold that for a minute. Now hold it here while I'm figuring out this guy here. There's a couple little alignment things. We've got pegs here and our 2 hoses. Look at how that lines up. That is like almost perfection. Almost perfection. Even the center of the engine poking through with you can see the bolts coming through there. So, 4 points to put glue. If you wanted to count the engine itself, you could put glue around the engine too on the center hub. I don't think that's going to be necessary though. So, there we go. Now I need to hold this and just be boring for a few minutes. Sometimes that's what it takes. Now I could take a long piece of tape and tape it down. That might be the better way to go. And that might be just what I do right now. and that ought to hold it. And this is now holding, so I'm happy with that. With it holding, I'm actually going to put a little bit of thin set just on the inside there. There we go, so it'll be actually be glued to the front of the engine as well, but not to the actual hub. It's nice that this gives the engine something to hold on the front as well, because previously the engine was only held in by this one screw. The engine could, you undo that screw and the engine would come out. But now with this on the front, the engine is held in solid. So that's really good. That's really good. I'm going to check something here real quick. That's what I thought. Okay. Now, I do kind of want to just leave this like this before I really play around anymore with it. And so, I think that's where I'm going to leave it for today. I'm going to let that glue set. I want to give it a good, maybe even 20 minutes or half an hour just to set this down aside and just leave it, right? And let that set and harden up properly. And then if I need to, you know, apply any more and reset it later, then I can do that later. But I want to let that sit properly and let that cure. Looks like my red piece is still got a little bit, it's still a little bit wet there because I put it on a little thick, right? So yeah, we'll just leave that. I'll leave that till next time. And yeah, next time we'll get our exhaust sides, our exhaust put on. We'll do that all next time. I was hoping to get to the radiator duct, but we'll just have to leave that for maybe tomorrow or something like that. So yeah, that's where I'm going to leave it for today, guys. That's going to be it. Yeah, I want to thank you for watching. Thanks for coming out. Moving parts are nice. Nothing initially. Black screen with the chat on the right. Oh, I must have some kind of connection issues. So I apologize for that. I guess you'll just have to watch me on YouTube once I get it uploaded. Speaking of YouTube, if you haven't watched it already, check me out on YouTube and hit that like button, hit subscribe if you haven't already. I know that 80% of you plus have not subscribed. You guys watch my videos, but you don't subscribe. So just subscribe. Why not? And then head over to my Instagram too, and you can check out still pictures of all the stuff I've built in the past. Every time I finish a build, I take a few pictures of it and I put it up on my Instagram. You can check me out on there. And yeah, so thanks again, guys, for watching. Thanks for coming out. Thanks for the chat. And we'll see you all in the next one.